TomoNews presents Space Fails.
Space station supply rocket explodes during liftoff in Virginia.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have liftoff of Antares, the orbit-free mission that brings Cygnus on its third CRS mission to the ISS. Got main engines at 108%. Avionics power nominal. And launch team, be advised, stay at your consoles. Everyone in the LCC, maintain your positions in your consoles. In the LCC, maintain positions at your console.
Virgin Galactic Spaceship 2 explodes using new fuel. One pilot was killed and another seriously injured when a space tourism plane exploded during a test flight. Virgin Galactic's White Knight 2 and Spaceship 2 took off from the Mojave Air and Spaceport at 9:18 a.m. on Friday. The White Knight 2 carried the Spaceship 2 to a height of 50,000 feet. The Spaceship 2 then detached from the mothership at 10:10 a.m. and continued its ascent with the plastic-based rocket fuel being used for the first time. About 60 to 90 seconds after the rocket was ignited, there was an explosion that destroyed the aircraft in mid-air. One pilot ejected from the plane and parachuted to the ground, surviving with serious injuries. The other pilot was killed. His body was found among the wreckage about 20 miles northeast of the city of Mojave. In September, Richard Branson said he expected the first commercial flight would happen in the early part of 2015, but there's no telling how long this crash will delay plans. Among the clients who have signed up for the $250,000 trip to space are Ashton Kutcher, Lady Gaga, and Justin Bieber.
Russia regains control over its gecko-6 satellite. You may or may not already know this, but Russia sent 5 geckos, 4 females and 1 male, into space earlier this month to, see if they would be in the mood for love. But hours after the rocket launched, the spacecraft promptly lost contact with ground control. But don't you worry, because Russian space agency Roscosmos announced last Saturday that they have re-established connection with the Photon M4 satellite. Aren't we lucky we now get to watch the geckos get lucky? The Soyuz 2-1A rocket carrying Photon M4 was launched at Site 31 in the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on July 19th. Hours after the launch, the spacecraft lost connection with ground control. Russian space agency Roscosmos regained command of the satellite on July 26th and confirmed that the spacecraft is in an elliptical orbit with a low point of 155 miles above Earth. The capsule had a planned rocket burn to propel it into a 357-mile circular orbit, but the burn never occurred. Photon M4 carries a live payload that includes 5 geckos, fruit flies, silkworms, dried plant seeds, and various microorganisms. The satellite also contains scientific instruments with a total weight of 1,800 pounds to support 22 experiments. Roscosmos plans to bring the satellite back to Earth in 2 months, when its live passengers will land in southern Russia with a parachute. Though the satellite is now in a lower orbit than scientists had planned, the observation of gecko mating behavior in space may still lend insight on how microgravity, or zero-G, affects mating in other animals, including humans. Anyone interested in signing up for the 155-mile high club?
Experts say mysterious space junk is hurling towards Earth. Millions of pieces of space junk hover just beyond Earth's atmosphere, vestiges of past space missions over the last century. But for the first time ever, scientists have calculated when and where a piece of space junk will collide with Earth. Scientists say the mysterious space object WT-1190F probably came from part of the rocket body of a previous mission and measures up to 6 or 7 feet long. The object's orbit is highly eccentric, meaning that it's more oval-shaped than most, while on its orbit, WT-1190F reaches distances more than double one lunar distance. The debris will catch fire when it comes into contact with the Earth's atmosphere above the Indian Ocean, and experts estimate that on November 13th, the space debris will crash into the ocean 62 miles off the southern coast of Sri Lanka. All or most of the debris will burn up before it collides with Earth's surface and does any damage. USA Today reports the space object was first seen in 2013 by the Catalina Sky Survey. Scientists say that watching WT1190F disintegrate in the Earth's atmosphere next month will help them gain a better understanding of what happens to materials in the atmosphere.
Japan's $265 million ASTRO-H satellite breaks into pieces. Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency said its ASTRO-H satellite may have broken into pieces after losing regular contact with it on Saturday. The ASTRO-H satellite was equipped with 4 state-of-the-art instruments, including a hard X-ray imaging system, a soft X-ray spectroscopy system, a soft X-ray imaging system, and a soft gamma-ray detector. The instruments were able to picture cosmic X-rays ranging from 0.3 to 600 kilo-electron volts, which help to study the extremely energetic processes in the universe, such as exploding stars and black holes. The satellite was supposed to be orbiting around 580 kilometers above the Earth's surface, but it could have deviated from its path. The U.S. Joint Space Operations Center reported seeing 5 objects in the same orbit as ASTRO-H, which has led to the conclusion that the satellite may have broken up. JAXA will continue to investigate what caused the satellite to break up. SpaceX Falcon rocket fails to land and explodes on a drone ship. Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur and founder of space company SpaceX, posted a video on Instagram where he shows a Falcon reusable rocket exploding after coming back from space and attempting to land on a drone ship. According to Musk, one of the legs failed to lock and caused the whole rocket to tip over. Rough seas at the time of the mission may have also contributed to the unsuccessful landing. But for Musk, this is far from being a real failure. The company has a few more ocean missions coming up, and according to his post on Twitter, Musk remains positive that landing rocket ships will soon become a reality.
So close, yet still so far. SpaceX's reusable rocket almost makes it. Humankind's insatiable curiosity has driven us to reach out and unlock some of the mysteries of the universe. Leading the way in the 21st century is SpaceX. The company has created a reusable rocket, the Falcon 9. Traditional rockets cannot be salvaged, making them single-use. This is expensive. And before they were decommissioned, a standard space shuttle launch cost a staggering $450 million. SpaceX hopes to solve both these problems, and it's getting closer.
While most rockets can be used only once, SpaceX rockets are designed to return to the launch pad by way of vertical landing. SpaceX has also developed a drone ship for rockets that land at sea. The ship is 300 feet long and 100 feet wide, with wings that can extend the landing surface to 170 feet. The ship is equipped with thrusters, which should keep the rocket within 3 meters of its position during a storm. If the test landings are successful, the landing pad will refuel the rockets so that SpaceX will be able to transport them back to the mainland for another launch.
The rocket almost made it, but a last-second tilt put the rocket on an unsteady footing, and it ultimately toppled over and exploded. So is the money spent on space exploration the best use of our limited resources? Leave your thoughts below.
Shirt storm in a teacup. Feminists get butthurt over scientists' cartoon shirt. When the internet should have been celebrating the astonishing scientific and engineering achievement which saw the European Space Agency land a probe on the side of a speeding comet some 310 million miles from Earth, one section of our community who loved nothing better than a bit of hashtag activism was hyperventilating about this man's shirt. He is Matt Taylor, a scientist working on the Rosetta mission for the ESA. During a live media feed on the day of the landing, he wore a Technicolor party shirt festooned with busty cartoon wenches shooting laser guns. Understandably, Taylor was celebrating. Yet following a tsunami of insults over the so-called casual misogyny of his offensive wardrobe choice, Taylor was forced to make this tearful apology.
The shirt I wore this week, I made a big mistake and I offended many people. And I'm very sorry about this.
Let that sink in for a moment. It raises the question, what do these most vocal third-wave feminists even want? The hypocrisy is grotesque. Here are women who quite reasonably demand the right to wear whatever they want without being judged or bullied or harassed. But when a man wears a playful shirt depicting cartoon characters dressed in similar outfits, he's crucified online. Oh, and here's a tweet from Taylor's friend who made the shirt for him as a birthday gift. She's a woman. The feminist credo of 2014 seems to be, all genders are equal, but one gender is more equal than others.
Russian supply spaceship spins uncontrollably in orbit. This is the view from an unmanned cargo spaceship that was supposed to restock the International Space Station on Tuesday. That dizzying rotation that you see is not supposed to be happening. Russia successfully launched a ship on Tuesday equipped with roughly 3 tons of fuel, oxygen, food, and other supplies. The cargo ship was supposed to dock at the International Space Station just 6 hours after liftoff to provide resources to the 6 astronauts aboard and supply them with materials for experiments. But of the 5 antennas that were supposed to deploy, only 2 did so successfully. So the cargo ship did not receive Russia's control signals, which forced Russia to postpone the docking. If Russia cannot gain control soon, the cargo ship may eventually fall back into the Earth's atmosphere and burn up. Good news is the astronauts on the ISS have plenty of food to last them for months. And the ISS has a sophisticated system that recycles water and oxygen.
Spinning Russian spacecraft will fall back to Earth soon. Russia's Roscosmos space agency has abandoned the Progress 59 spacecraft after a malfunction caused it to spin wildly out of control. The Russian Progress 59 spacecraft is currently rotating at a rate of 360 degrees every 5 seconds. It is orbiting approximately 197 kilometers above Earth. The spacecraft is expected to stay in orbit for 5 days before it starts to head back towards Earth. The doomed spacecraft will likely burn up as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Any surviving debris from the spacecraft is expected to land between May the 5th and May the 7th, but experts will not know the exact location for at least another 2 days.
NASA postpones launch of Orion exploration capsule. The launch of NASA's unmanned Orion exploration capsule was delayed on Thursday due to several reasons, including technical issues. The initial delay came shortly before the 7:05 a.m. expected launch of the Orion space capsule, when a stray boat entered the launch zone east of the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. Once the boat was removed, strong winds led to the 2 successive launches set for 7:17 and 7:55 being scrapped. The following launch, expected for 8:26 a.m., was again stopped, this time due to a fuel and drain valve that did not close, and delayed until Friday. The planned 4.5-hour mission will see Orion flying around the Earth for 3,600 miles during 2 orbits and then re-enter the Earth's atmosphere before falling into the Pacific Ocean. The data gathered from the mission will be used to build a more flight-worthy Orion spacecraft, with the aim of flying astronauts to Mars for the first time in 2021.
Rocket design failure blamed for Galileo satellite mislaunch. An investigation by launch service provider Arianespace shows that fuel freeze caused the Galileo satellite launched in late August to enter into a lower orbit than planned. A Soyuz rocket carrying 2 Galileo satellites was launched from French Guiana at 9:27 a.m. on August 22nd. The fairing, a cone which protects the payload, was shed after the rocket entered into space due to the reduced friction as anticipated. The first and second stages also detached from the rocket without a hitch. A design flaw, however, caused the fuel powering the frigate stage to freeze. The hydrazine nozzle was blocked as the fuel supply pipe was placed too close to low-temperature helium pipes. The satellite was placed into a lower orbit than planned. Lacking sufficient fuel, the satellites are not expected to make it into their pre-planned orbit.
Big metal balls from space.
Either Planet Spaceball lost some of their precious balls over the weekend, or perhaps Vladimir Putin lost some of his as Russia races to colonize space. Several mysterious metal orbs originating from Russia crash-landed in Vietnam's Dien Bai and Truong Quang provinces Saturday, giving locals quite the scare. Metal balls crashed down in northern Vietnam at around 6:30 a.m. on Saturday. The smallest, weighing 250 grams, smashed through the roof of a house. A 6-kilogram sphere, proportionally similar to a basketball, fell in a garden. While the largest object, weighing 45 kilograms and akin in scale to an exercise ball, landed close to a stream. Investigators determined that all 3 balls are Russian-made compressed air tanks that likely fell from a rocket or aircraft. Because the balls are intact, they probably fell from an altitude of less than 100 kilometers. Strange balls like these 3 have landed in other places around the world. Several were reported in Spain and Turkey last November. Meanwhile, a military official said Vietnam would ask countries with space programs to exercise more caution. Or in other words, watch out where you put your damn 45-kilo space balls.
China's Jade Rabbit lunar rover mission is in jeopardy after the craft experienced a mechanical control abnormality on Saturday. The problem occurred as the rover was traversing a relatively flat part of the lunar surface known as the Bay of Rainbows, at a speed of around 183 meters per hour. The problems are reportedly related to its process for shutting down for the lunar night, which lasts more than 2 weeks. The temperature during that time drops to minus 180 degrees C. During that time, the probe is unable to generate energy from its solar panels and instead relies on a radioactive power source to keep its equipment intact. Chinese officials said the abnormality occurred due to the complicated lunar surface environment. When sunlight hits the moon's surface, it causes dust grains to eject electrons. Electrostatic repulsion among like charges could cause dust particles to levitate up to 1 meter above the lunar surface. Online speculation suggested that lunar dust could have stopped one of the rover's solar panels from folding inward, leaving sensitive equipment exposed to the dangerously low temperatures. The rover landed in December as part of China's Chang'e 3 mission and was expected to operate for around 3 months.
China's moon rover has returned to normal signal receiving status after state media reported that it had stopped functioning on Wednesday. Prolonged exposure to direct sunlight on the moon's surface causes dust grains to eject electrons. Repulsion among the grains causes the dust to levitate. Lunar dust may have blocked one of the rover's solar panels from folding, preventing the rover from shutting down properly as it entered the extreme cold of the lunar night on January 25th. On February 12th, the official Xinhua news agency reported that the rover had lost communication with mission control. But on February 13th, the Jade Rabbit was picking up signals again, despite still experiencing a mechanical control abnormality. The Chang'e 3 lunar probe's technical team is still working to determine the exact cause of the problem in order to devise a repair plan.
The International Space Station experienced a cooling system failure on Wednesday, which NASA said would not pose a danger to the crew. The International Space Station has 2 external cooling loops, which circulate ammonia to keep equipment cool. The cooling pump on one of the loops automatically shut down. A faulty valve inside the pump is believed to have caused the problem. Ground teams have moved electrical systems to the other loop. A spacewalk may be performed in order to fix the malfunctioning valve. NASA flight controllers are currently investigating whether the failure was caused by a hardware or a software issue. Japan's new rocket Epsilon was due to be launched on August 27th, but failed to lift off. The 3-stage Epsilon measures 24 meters in length and weighs 91 tons. It was scheduled to release the Sprint A telescope into space at an altitude of 1,000 kilometers. The telescope is the world's first space telescope for remote observation of planets, including Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. It was the second setback for the Epsilon rocket this month.
A spacewalk at the International Space Station was cut short after Italian astronaut Luca Parmitano suffered a leak in his helmet. Luca Parmitano was working with American Chris Cassidy on setting up internet cables at the space station. Parmitano reported feeling a water-like liquid collecting at the back of his head. Thinking it might be his drinking water reserve, he drained the container. However, the liquid continued to build up, eventually getting into his eyes and nostrils. Engineers are looking into whether the leak originated in the astronaut's liquid-cooled undergarment. They estimate that between 1 litre and 1.5 litres of the liquid escaped into the suit. Parmitano, who was the first Italian to make a spacewalk, is not suffering any ill effects from the mishap.
Did decades-old Soviet engines cause Antares rocket explosion? AJ-26 Soviet-era engines built 4 decades ago may have played a significant role in the mishap that led to the explosion of the Antares rocket that was launched on Thursday in Virginia. The BBC reported that an unknown failure took place 15 seconds into the flight on Thursday, prompting the range safety officer to activate the rocket's self-destruct system. The first stage of the Antares rocket is powered by 2 AJ-26 engines, which were built by the Soviet Union 40 years ago. These engines are now at the center of the ongoing investigation. The first stage is fueled by liquid kerosene and oxygen, which were likely consumed or dissipated during the launch. Scientists, however, are worried about the hydrogen and nitrogen tetroxide fuel in the Cygnus spacecraft, which the Antares rocket was to carry into space. The explosion of fire reportedly covered a 100-meter area, while some of the debris may have washed onto nearby beaches. The mission was to carry 2,200 kilograms of supplies to the astronauts on the International Space Station. Its failure does not endanger the astronauts, as their current supplies will last until next spring.